Good afternoon, Valerie Milano, the senior editor of the Hollywood Times and Aspiring Magazine. And I happen to be in Palm Springs, California right now, but will be where Jamie is in a little bit. Please introduce themselves. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Jamie Baker, Executive Director at Being Alive here in beautiful downtown Hollywood.
Hi, and I'm Judy Shields, managing editor for the Hollywood Times and contributor to the Aspiring magazine. Welcome,
Ye-
Jamie.
Thank you.
Yes, welcome, Jamie. Being Alive is celebrating 40 years of serving people living with HIV and AIDS. When you look back at where the organization began in 1986 and where it is today, what does this anniversary mean to you personally?
Well, for us, it's a huge milestone. On one hand, it's it makes me a little angry that we're still having to provide services for HIV because it's been 40 years, but we also have had great uh, steps towards ending the epidemic, the pandemic, along the last 30 years or so with advances in medications. But the early days, 9 out of 10 people who got HIV and ended up with having the AIDS diagnosis would die. So the organization was very different and all about helping people end their lives with dignity and finding ways to give them hope and encouragement to stay alive. And that's sort of where the name comes from, being alive, because we weren't just going to sit around and wait. We were going to do things like mindfulness workshops and nutrition and social support and other friend groups and activities that kept people engaged and educated about how to help their bodies survive until 9, 10 years later, and we finally got antiretroviral medications that started working. And that's where we're at today with amazing treatments, one pill once a day to 2 shots every 6 months to coming up to a shot every year for treatment.
I know we are making strides, and I don't blame you for being upset that we still have to talk about it. HIV treatment has changed dramatically, as we're talking about over those four decades. But stigma and loneliness, mental health challenges, and even barriers to care still exist.
Absolutely.
What are the biggest needs you are seeing in the community today?
Well, most of our clients now are aging with HIV, and they are experiencing these things like loneliness and being in a place in their life that they never thought they would be. So many of them got rid of their assets and didn't worry about their retirement funds because they didn't think they would live this long. So that's a problem. And now with budget cuts from the federal government, it's really impacting um, ability to provide services for folks. And that's not just here, that's having a worldwide impact on the number of new cases.
Yeah, for sure. I hear you. Being okay. I'm going to go back to the beginning. Being Alive was founded by people living with HIV who wanted support without red tape and bureaucracy.
Absolutely.
How how important is that the organization, has maintained that sense of community and personal connection?
That's I feel like we're one of the very few that has maintained that spirit of for for us by us. Now, not all of our staff are positive, not all of our board members are as well. We try to get the best people for the best jobs to deliver services, but we we know our clients. They come in and we know their names. They're not a number or please show us your membership card or any of that sort of thing. They walk in and we know them and we know their struggles, but the isolation and the growing older and the pain that is exacerbated because of a lifetime of living with HIV is difficult. We age faster because of the virus, and causes more pain because it's 24 hours of extra inflammation in your body every single day.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about the actual event right now because I'm really excited because the Hollywood Times and Aspiring Magazine has interviewed Morgan Fairchild. She was on our cover a couple of months ago. And Bruce Valanche, I've interviewed many times about his films and such in the different film festivals. And also, you're going to have Joseph Leahy at the anniversary celebration, which is coming up very soon. What has each of
Very.
them contributed that made you want to recognize them during this milestone year?
Well, we wanted to remember the people who really were out in front at the early times. Morgan Fairchild, she lost jobs because of her advocacy for HIV. People didn't want to hear what she had to say when all she was doing was speaking the truth. And Bruce has been a staunch advocate for years and years in his own special hilarious way.
Hilarious, yes.
Um, and Joseph, though he's not a celebrity, he's a celebrity in our community because he's given his entire career to helping educate people about HIV and supporting that community.
Yeah, good, good, good choices. Um, you've also had Melissa Jarrett Winokur,
Mhm.
Carrie Butler, and Laura Bell Bundy performing an excerpt from Mama, I'm a Big Girl Now. That sounds like it's going to bring a lot of joy to the afternoon. Why, why was it important to balance remembrance and advocacy with celebration and entertainment?
Well, the name of our organization, Being Alive, um, was chosen from a Broadway song from Company, written by Stephen Sondheim. Barbara Streisand's Broadway album came out the year before we were founded, and the song Being Alive, which the lyrics are someone to hold me too close, someone to love me too much, somebody to care, make me aware of being alive, really resonated with the founders. So that's why they included that, and it started our path with a connection to Broadway. We are consistently funded by Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS. We're connected with the Actors Fund, which is now Entertainment for Everyone Fund, I believe is what they're called. I personally am a show tune Broadway lover. Um, so pulling that all together and ending with a great celebration is really important and is a definite nod to our founding. And as I said in an earlier interview, there's a great movie called Jeffrey, and at the end, one of the people who had died as a result of AIDS came back in a vision and said, Jeffrey, hate AIDS, not life. Remember, it's still our party. So we're going to remember our very difficult and horrible beginnings and how difficult that was, but we're still going to celebrate because we're doing good work and we're going to continue to do that work until this is all over.
Hi, Jamie. Judy here.
Hi.
Uh, question for you. What do you hope people walk away feeling after the September 12th celebration?
That combination of care and remembrance and spirit of accomplishment, but also the joy for the community. The our community here in Hollywood, West Hollywood, was deeply impacted in the early days, especially, as was the Broadway community. And we just think about an entire generation of people who were lost that were creators and designers and givers that we didn't get to see the real mature fruits of their labors. But we're going to, yeah, I just hope we have that combination. I don't know how to describe it, that laughter through tears, or the joy and the sorrow that just makes us feel whole and alive.
Yeah.
Great answer.
That's a difficult question.
Hey, what can I say?
Um, I guess I'm going to get back to the health part of it for someone who may think that because HIV is now treatable and organizations like Being Alive are no longer as necessary. What would you want them to understand about the work you're doing every day?
It's a disease, a virus that affects everybody, rich, poor, all ethnicities, doesn't matter. Um, it's it's still there, and we find that with just a minor switch in policy, this all can come back and balloon into another pandemic. So we need to stay, we need to be here for the future to make sure everybody has the support that they need. And in the early days, if you got HIV, you would have those feelings of, oh, I'm going to die, I'm going to be alone, no one's ever going to love me. That still is the same when a young person comes in and says, I'm never going to find somebody to care about me. I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. And that's just not true.
Yeah, if the founders of Being Alive could see what the organization has become 40 years later, what do you think they would say?
I would hope they would be proud of the foundation that they built, and that we maintained their core belief of caring for people and supporting the community.
Yeah,
That's one
thank
thing
Another good answer.
that
Very.
we've not let that go, and I hope we never do.
Thank you so much. I'm going to just ask one final question. And what, you know, after 40 years of being alive, your hope for the next chapter and someone watching this interview that can't afford to come to the fundraiser, what can they do to help?
Dollars that allow us to provide services without being tied to grants or federal funding is really important. But being educated, being supportive of people, moms and dads that have kids that might be at risk, having those conversations about using condoms and the availability of PrEP. So if they are exposed, they don't contract. Just having, loving, open conversations. Education. Yeah, education and reduction of stigma. Stigma is still one of the biggest factors for this disease, or this virus.
Yes. Well, September 12th, right around the corner. How can everybody get their tickets?
You can go to our website, beingalivela.org, and the front page has a link to buy tickets, or you can give us a call. We'll walk you through it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you
it's
so
going to be a
much.
great event. We're really excited. We're proud and excited.
Yeah, we are too,
We look
right,
forward to
Judy?
covering it. We look forward to covering it.
Great.
Los Angeles Athletic Club. Yeah, great place to have it. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Jamie. We're HollywoodTimes.net, the Hollywood Times officials, our YouTube channel. I appreciate everything that you're doing and all your team over there. And we're rooting you on and continuing to keep the conversation.
Thank you.
Great. Have a great
Bye.
rest of y'all's day.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.